Just to say, firstly, I don't know anybody who is in favour of open borders. I'm certainly not. We have a rules-based system, and you can have a view as to its efficiency, how it's resourced, how it might change, but you shouldn't pretend that it doesn't exist. I understand fully that government made a mistake from the get-go in not having proper consultation and communication with communities. And by that, I mean, Mary, not simply dropping a leaflet or last-minute briefings of public reps, but going into communities and talking to people in community development and youth work and sporting organisations, all of the good people all across our communities who know their communities inside and out, who are constructive, decent people, and for whom the inn is not full, and who would wish to be positive and reasonable and rational and indeed very, very welcoming. And I think it has been a huge, huge error. And we said this from the get-go to the Minister and the government not to go at that in a proactive way. And unfortunately, we're seeing the outworking of that now in communities where there's anxiety and angst and a feeling of being disrespected and ignored. For others, a feeling of fear, not least for people coming to a strange place, having suffered real trauma. And then the third consequence has been to embolden a very small number of people who believe that they can bully everyone else, and up to and including setting fire to buildings. Is a reality in our communities, which is this: if you're an individual or a family who can't afford your rent, can't get rental accommodation, is on a housing list, can't get housed, and you have a government who for a decade and more has not responded to your needs, who are demonstrating no scale or capacity to meet your housing need. If your child is raising their own child in the box room of your family home on the one hand, and then you hear that others are coming to the country and you see equally no plan, you see chaos and a shambles, people say, where does that leave me? And that is a legitimate question. That is not a racist expression. That is a human expression of vulnerability and in some cases desperation. And let me be very clear that the culpable party in this is not people in communities who've waited and waited and are left in housing need, nor those who have come and who are vulnerable. The culpable party in this is the government. I know, and I think we all know, that as public representatives, as leaders across our various communities, that we need to be thoughtful, responsible, we need to be responsive. And our job ultimately is to ensure that every person is heard and recognised and safe and treated respectfully. So nobody should contribute to a cycle of negativity and a sense of fear. Our job has to be to demystify things, but also to make those demands of government for that proper planning. Sinn Féin people have been extremely, I think, leaderly in dealing with these matters. They're, for the most part, our people are very well tied in with the communities that we represent, and we have sought to bring calm and clarity and leadership. And you see in the case of my colleague Martin Kenny, that at times he rather, quite disgracefully, his car was set on fire.
Indeed,
on
people will remember that.
So yes, I mean, every political party, Mary, has to manage these issues. And I would put it to you, Mary, that actually out on the ground, our activists have been very positive, very constructive. And bear in mind, we're a party in opposition. We're not the government, and we don't have the deciding hand in how you manage all of this correctly. And our activists and our representatives have had to deal with a pretty shambolic approach by government in communities up and down the country. And I think they have done it with resolutely and in partnership with people in the community. I don't think the issue here is the location. I think the issue at hand here, and let's name it, is the fact that criminal arson damage was committed. It wouldn't really matter where the location is, Mary. The fact that that happened is utterly unacceptable and to be condemned. I don't care if it's in the heart of the city centre or in the most remote part of our island. That is not acceptable. I remain absolutely confident and sure that good people, decent people, want our government to do the right thing, but they equally want it done in a way that's rational and planned and inclusive. And the really annoying thing, Mary, is if you go into any community on this island, anywhere, you will find people in those communities who know their area, their neighbours, inside out and upside down. And if you had the basic common sense to go and speak to them and engage and bring a plan and bring the right resources